So in this video, it looks like we're going to be talking about gaslighting and narcissism. We've considered doing two separate videos for this, but basically they go together a lot. Narcissists will always gaslight you. And someone who's gaslighting you on a regular basis, almost certainly a narcissist. So,
unless they're in some very serious denial about something.
True, but that's an exceptionally rare situation. And then that's a little different. That's usually more that they're in denial of themselves about an outside event rather than gaslighting about something they've done. So anyway, what are these two things? Gaslighting is basically when a person is telling you that you are not experiencing what you believe you're experiencing.
It's named after a movie where that is exactly what happened in the movie. The husband was trying to make his wife seem crazy, and so it was back when they had gas lights. He was playing with how bright the lights were and pretending like she was crazy when she was talking about the lights being dimmer. It's the origin of the term.
Yep. And I would discuss it at one time. I didn't know the details. I haven't actually seen the movie, but
I haven't seen the movie either, but I've checked it out more than once on learning about that. So
indeed. All right. So basically, like I said, it's just trying to tell you that your experience is wrong, in order to convince you that you don't remember things the way you believe you remember them. There's really no situation in which this is ever used for a positive reason, none that I can think of anyway. So this is always the kind of thing that is bad behavior. It, like I said, may or may not be abusive, but it almost certainly is abusive. The rare exception is if the person's literally just in denial, or if you're doing it to yourself because you're in denial and you're gaslighting yourself. It may not be abusive, but it's still a problem. And of course, narcissists, as we said, very often use gaslighting as one of their many, many tactics. Narcissistic behavior is brought about by someone who has a very fragile ego, and they absolutely 100% cannot accept any criticism. And they will gaslight you about any criticism for sure. They'll also get extremely angry at the drop of a hat if you mention any critique or any kind of shortcoming on their part.
Anything that they're doing wrong, they will somehow turn around and make it your fault that it's happening.
Yes. And let's see, what else is there specifically that's narcissistic? There's just so many things. It's really, you need to do a separate search on that, and it takes a while to really learn what is narcissism. But one of the main things really is the fact that nothing is ever their fault in their mind. Any type of blame will always be sent to somewhere else, and whoever claims that they are to blame for anything is the one who it gets turned around on almost all times. And they are always very controlling, very manipulative. Almost always, very early in the relationship, they will work to cut off your ties to everybody else.
All the signs that tell you should run because this may get physically abusive.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, only they may not ever actually hit you.
Yeah, a narcissist may or may not ever be physically abusive, but they will always be abusive. And one thing that I've discussed many times over the years about abuse is that it's never the physical side that matters. Abuse is always the emotional part and the intellectual part that is the problem. And what I mean by that, and I think we already did another video on this, but what I mean by that basically is that, someone who's in, say, martial arts, they're damaging their body plenty. And really any kind of impact sport, there's a lot of damage to the body, but they're happy as can be about it. It's because it's not psychologically damaging. It's just physically damaging, and then they recover, no problem. Whereas abuse, it's always the psychological damage that's associated either with or without the physical.
Up until it gets to the point where if it's physical, get to the point where they might kill you. But by that point, you're very far in.
Right, I'm talking about just the abuse part, as far as the damage that has to be fixed later.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. Yes, obviously, if a person is physically abusive, get out, absolutely. Do not put up with that more than once. Because they're willing to get physically abusive once, they're going to do it again and again and again.
Yeah. No matter how low my self-esteem has ever been, I always had a mental rule of I get hit once and it's an obvious and intentional hit, not somebody bumped into me or something like that.
Not me with my wide hand motions and she accidentally walks in. That's different.
It's like I get hit once, I'm leaving. I don't care how, what, if I don't have an exit strategy, I will find a way to get out because I'm not.
And that's another thing is the narcissist will always do everything in their power to cut off your exit strategies. They'll ensure you don't have access to the money. They'll do as much as they can to get you to quit your job. They will try and move you away from your family. I feel like we already did a video on this.
We did.
Well, that's why. But it didn't include gaslighting in that one, I suppose.
No, it was specifically about abuse.
Okay, that's what not narcissism specifically, but abuse. That's what it was.
That's why you feel like we've done this, because we've talked about all these
before. Right, just not in specifically the context of narcissism. But yes, that kind of abusive behavior, that's based on
those
narcissism.
Are never good signs for a relationship. Those are always signs we would say get out of the relationship.
Most anything in a relationship can be fixed if both parties are willing to fix it. What you'll find is with the narcissist, because their ego is so fragile, they will never admit that there is a problem on their part. And so they're not willing to make changes and not willing to fix anything. So in that situation, the only solution is get out. Period. Get out. Whatever it takes, get out.
Now, somebody who's just selfish in the moment or just generally selfish is not necessarily a narcissist. If they can go, you point out, hey, you did this thing wrong, and they're like, yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. They're not being a narcissist. They don't see it as a problem. And they may be like, why do you think it's a problem? I'm not saying that can't damage a relationship. I'm just saying it's a different issue altogether.
And as I've said many times, not all selfishness is narcissism, despite what all the Facebook groups try and tell you.
I have seen that's narcissistic thrown around by stuff that has nothing to do with anything remotely looking like narcissism. And it's like, can we not use that particular term?
And that's the thing. People use that term so much that it's meaningless anymore.
And they'll say, oh, this person is gaslighting you, and you hadn't even seen anything in the post about something the person said. And I'm like, you can't tell they're gaslighting when this person never said what it is their significant other said. In fact, all they're saying is, I thought this. They're not even saying whether or not what they thought was accurate to, like, even what was going on around them. Just, this was my thought. And it's like, let's back off on these terms, because you're just jumping way far ahead and putting potentially your past on someone else's current. It's not good.
Projection.
It's
actually an idea for another video. Maybe we'll do that one next.
Maybe.
Well, that's all for this video.
If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment or a question below.
It really does help to let YouTube know that others should also be watching these videos. Also remember to check out our Facebook group. It's all about relationships of any kind. And of course, most importantly, click below and schedule that free consultation. We have options for people at every level. Whatever your problem is, if we don't have a YouTube video for it, we can get you some other kind of resource, even if there's no money in the bank. So even if you can't actually do a personal one-to-one with us, there's options. Definitely click that link, schedule that call. And that's all we got for now. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.